one time after my third record, I had 13 songs, and I asked him if he would listen to them for me, and he said, sure. And the next day I said, did you listen? He said, yeah, you got a really good song in there. I said, what about the others? He said, yeah, what about those? And that started one of the great conversations of my life that I'm gonna miss. When I put my first record out, he said I could come open for him. And when you opened for him, he would bring you out to play Paradise with him at the end. And I don't know why I should have to say this, but I will. He would always then just set his guitar down and walk off the stage. You know, he wasn't big into, wasn't high-fiving people and stuff. He just walked off, you know. And then, well, when people say what's he like, I'll tell you, when I first went out there to play Paradise with him, I didn't have my pick, and he had like 200 of them on the table. And I said, I forgot my pick. And he said, grab one of those. And I grabbed one. He said, not that one, not that one. And there's all those people cheering, and I was, what? I grabbed another one, and he laughed. That's what he was like, you know. But I'll tell you, this is a true story, and this is like not an anomaly. This is what he was really like. We went to tour in Europe, and we flew, I don't know where we left from, but it was New York. It was a long flight. And when we'd been on the road, we were all completely exhausted. We knew we had a 2-hour drive even after we got off the plane. And everybody was kind of cranky, not cranky, but just tired. And we get in the car, and the kid driving starts going one way, and John says, I think it's the other way. And he says, no, it's this way. John says, okay, starts reading the paper and looking around. About an hour and a half goes by, and that kid turns to John and he says, Mr. Prine, I think you were right. I was angry. I wasn't gonna say shit about it. And I'm kind of a mellow pothead, but that pissed me off. I wanted to say, God dang, he told you, man. Oh, but I wasn't gonna say anything. But if you looked at me, you'd have known, probably. And the same went for the band. You know, they weren't gonna say anything to that poor guy, but you could tell there was steam coming off of them. And the tour manager wasn't even hiding it. He wasn't gonna say nothing, but he wasn't even hiding it. He was like making sounds and huffing. And John, as God is my witness, wasn't mad. He wasn't bothered. He said to that kid, that's cool, man, it's fun to drive around. And I'm 99.9% sure that he meant that shit. He hadn't just gotten sober, saved, hadn't just read no self-help book. He was just being the guy who wrote hello in there, you know? And he did shit like that all the time. And most singers have a lot of Liza Minnelli in them. All have at least a little. Not for that guy. And then I keep going on, but I wanted to tell you this song I want to play you. I came up with right after we lost him. I had just done a tour with him on the West Coast, and on the first night of the tour, it was a new tour for him with that new record. And on the last song, he didn't play Paradise. He played a song called Lake Marie. And he, at the end of the song, he set his guitar down and started drawing up flames from it, like Jimi Hendrix at Monterey. But there was no flames. He was just going like this. And I was like, what's he doing? And then he started going like this, like the gopher in Caddyshack. And I was like, he's dancing, I think. And then it just got freer and wilder. And I realized I was laughing and crying, and everybody else was, and he just started dancing crazier. and it felt like Rocky was winning somehow. People were like, yeah! And I was crying. Then he goes up to the front and he turns to the crowd like Rod Stewart and shakes his butt around. You remember how guys do that sometimes? And then he starts going like this. I was like, what's gotten into him? And then he took out a watch, a gold chain watch, one of those long ones, and he started swinging it and walking off like that. And he came past me. I was crying and laughing. I didn't know if I was laughing for joy or sadness or what. He walked by and says, you didn't see that coming, did you? And I had not. But he did it every night. And so I thought about it, and I watched him closer. And I thought, when the old guy dances, or when the old person dances, as opposed to a young person. When a young person does, it's kind of sexual. And when old people go for it, it's a little more spiritual. And feels like young people are saying with their actions, like, I'm proud of my body and I want you to see it. And the old people are like, I don't give a shit about my body. And I don't care what you think of it. The crazier dance. Say I'm gonna say, I made this song. I say, I didn't know him as well as I tell everyone I did. Hell, he was nearly 50 and I was only just a kid, but even way back in those missing years when he was still just catching on, there was nobody better than Handsome John. Handsome John was the nickname that he came up with for himself. That's what he was like. The next time I saw him, he walked off to paradise. Any way that I would say that I'm still taking for advice, or with a plain spoken word and just a simple melody, you can see this world with dignity. Oh, boy, look no further for your real McCoy. Here comes the singing mailman from Maywood, Illinois. Oh, oh, the last time that I saw him, he danced off to Lake Murray. When I realized that I was laughing out in tears of victory, for with a few still missing and a new one coming on, there was still nobody better than Handsome John. Oh, look no further for your real McCoy. Here comes the singing mailman from Maywood, Illinois. Oh, oh, Y'all, thank you for letting me be part of your night. I really...